Hello dear viewer, I'm leesusss, and welcome back to me digging a hole in Be Happy. Why am I digging a hole? Well, I'll tell you in a bit. I will not be singing a song, by the way, doing this. No matter how many dwarven style digging hole songs, I will not be singing any of those. It's pretty copyright anyway. Oh, although I might actually put there's a song about digging holes that I remember very clearly from my childhood. I'll probably put a link to in the comments if you like amusing songs. This one will probably amuse you. Anyway, I won't sing it though because that'll just be bad. It'll be a terrible thing for me to do. Why am I digging a hole? Well, I want to put something down this hole, and what I want to put down this hole is power. Yes, indeed. Now, I've not had to worry about power much so far in the in this pack because, well, I've been very for God's sake, I just wasted all my time there, didn't I? I've been very generous with the solar panels they've been giving us, but I'm thinking we're going to start needing power before long because we've recently, I think actually, did you see me make the tables? You did, didn't you? I forget now. It's been a while since I've played. I do play at very odd times, and it's been at least a week since I've done anything on Minecraft. Due to work stuff and various other things going on. And well, whether I've shown you or not, I now have you have seen it, haven't you? The lasery table thing. You know what I mean. What I'm trying to say. Is this going to open up the hole if I do this? Is it going to be a massive hole into the void? Yeah, pretty much. What am I trying to think of? Let me go and actually show you so I can actually remember. I've got some things in my pack I need to put away anyway. What the heck is it called? It's like a crafting table and there's a laser that fires onto it and why do I play this late at night? What's it called? Put these resonant energy cells away. Where is it? I can't find it now. It's a table for making the components for the computer anyway. The bits and pieces from there. And you may have seen from there as well that I have a lot of resonant energy cells. The assembly table, that's what I'm trying to say. I know you were probably shouting at me. I'm sorry. Brain very fuzzy at this time of night. Go away, skeletons. So yes, I've got the assembly table, but it doesn't require quite a lot of power to run this thing. Well, actually, it's not quite true. It can use a lot of power. So what I remember of the assembly table, the few times I've used it, is that it will use as much power as you put in there. I think is what I recall. So if usually you can just run it off a typical frugal pack like this or regrowth. You can run it off a single combustion engine. That is sufficient, and it's fine normally. However, very laggy today. What's wrong with it? You can put more power in. I think it's the more power you put in, the faster it works, is what I recall. So I'm thinking, there's this and there's other things as well that will start having energy demands for me. So why don't I just go ahead and deal with it now? Now we can get bees that will give us the components required for big reactors like the yellorium and all the rest. But that we don't need to do that yet. We've gone to all this effort of making bees that produce the refined bees that would give us lots of oil combs and lots of petroleum combs. Have I got monsters actually spawning? Hold on a second. Oh, I think he's below me. I was about to say I can see a skeletons down there somewhere. I think when I've put the blocks down, I think there's like a single block down there somewhere that's got a bit of dark on it. So there's a skeleton spawn on it. We'll leave him there. I'll hunt him down later and put a torch there. Anyway, yeah, we've got all these combs, and each of the combs produces quite a lot of oil. It's like half a bucket of oil for every bit of oily propolis that comes out. So I thought, let's turn it into power, is what we'll do. Now, I've also got these resonant energy cells, and what I've been doing is I've been doing these quests over here are for the breeding ones. So these are the ones we saw probably in the last episode. You probably saw this. We've just got to collect a ton of various components. So most of these I've got them already. And what they were offering me as rewards were commonly tesseracts and one of these. The cryostabilis flux ducts, from what I can see, are pretty much cables that will transmit almost infinite energy. I mean, just whatever much you want to put in there. So I've got a few of those, and I've got some of the resonant energy cells. So the plan is I'm going to have a bank of energy cells down here. Whoa, don't fall down the hole. And down there. And I'm going to have energy drawing straight out. And this is going to be more like a lab area over here. So these machines are quite energy demanding. So we'll power those off of it. And we'll power the assembly table off it as well. But we'll have a number of sources of energy feeding into it, including combustion engines using the oily combs. So I'm going to put some of the refined beads on the roof. We're going to pump down the combs and things and process them, and then use them to power the combustion engines to power the energy bank on demand. That's the plan. But first of all, I'm going to go to bed. It's getting dark. And I'll start setting this up, and I'll bring you back to show you in a little while. Okay, so I've started to get the basics of the setup here. So we have the 2 apiaries on top, and I think 2 industrial apiaries will be enough. I've made holes in my roof, and now I'm falling through. I'll fix this all later, doesn't matter. So 2 apiaries full of refined bees. So one was over there anyway, and the other one was in one of the wooden apiaries over that side. But I've moved them both over here. They'll be fine. I think this is all we need, I think, for powering this lot. So this lot are making oily combs, and they make petroleum combs, and they both lots of combs get pumped into this single chest here to gather them. Okay, and then from there we've got the white lists operating on over here. So on one side, all the oily combs will come out this side, and the petroleum combs will come out this side. Now, to process these, first thing you have to do is you have to centrifuge them to get the propolis out. Now, I only have one centrifuge. Do I have another one over there? No, I've only got one centrifuge, which is here, and I really need to keep this one. This is used to process various things like my diamond combs and everything else. I don't want to get this. I want to have dedicated centrifuges over here. So I've got a squeezer there as well. Okay, so I need to make some more, and I have the recipe here. These aren't too bad. This is the last of my sturdy casings that I was given. That's just the way it goes. Copper I've got plenty of right now. There we go. Oh, you idiot. You've got to make a sturdy casing as well. I need bronze for that. I need some more bronze ingots. I might as well make 2 of these, because is that enough? That's not very much, is it? That's a sturdy casing, isn't it? So if I make 1 more, oh, I thought that made 5. I'm obviously misremembering. I thought it was 3. Yeah, I thought it gave you 5 ingots, because it was like a slight gain. Well, it doesn't make sense to have a slight gain, does it really? Gain on materials. You could do sorts of shenanigans with that. Anyway, there we go. Second centrifuge. Now at the moment, I've got the bees working a little bit, because I've got 3 of the basic solar panels up there. But the idea is probably to have all of these machines powered off the same system. Now, whether that will work or not, because normally, of course, if you try to power a power production system with the power that you're making from it, it won't work, of course, because every system's lossy. But this is Minecraft, so you can get away with that sort of thing. So I think I want to get more power out of this system than I will running the machines to produce the power, if you see what I mean. Anyway, so the point is that one centrifuge will process the oily combs, one will process the petroleum combs. Now, I thought about trying to share one centrifuge, but that's just silly. It's my typical case of, I'm always trying to save. Oh dear, that's not what I want to do. Save resources, which works really well for a pack like this. I do very well at packs like this because I'm always trying to be very conservative with how I use materials. But it makes it. It'll just cause problems if I try and do that. I can imagine a case where maybe demand will go on and off for power, so demand will go on and off for the oily combs. So what will happen is if you have one centrifuge or one squeezer, you're always going to get more oily combs than the petroleum ones, and you would get, if power hasn't been used very much, you get a backup of the oily combs. Oily combs would go into here. This thing can only hold one sort of comb at a time. So basically, you'd clog the system with oily combs, and you'd never process the petroleum one. So one half of your energy production system would never do anything, and we don't want that because that's just silly. So I'm trying not to be too cheap. I'm trying to do it properly. Right. So out of here. So beyond this part, after you've squeezed them, you get the oily propolis and the petroleum propolis. So the next thing you need to do is you need to pump out of these two. And we can use the same things again. We can use the item ducts, like this. And we can use there's only one product here, so we don't need to filter. Oh, for God's sake. We don't need to filter these ones. You don't have to use the white list and the black list. We'll pump everything out. Right, put it in the right place, shall we? There. And there. So we'll put a switch on this. And then the next thing we need to have is the squeezer. And I've got one squeezer already. This is the one from over here. But I don't really need another squeezer very often. So if it comes to it, I'll make another one. But for now, I'm just not using it very often. So let's not worry about it. So squeezer is fairly similar to a centrifuge, which is why I made another sturdy casing. It's just another different material, is it? Okay, sturdy casing with tin. That's good, I've got loads of tin. Like that, and then like that, and then put the glass back away in there. Ooh, so these will need to be powered as well. That's fine. We'll do that later. So what comes out of these is buckets and buckets of oil. Well, or petroleum, or fuel in this case. Because this is the side with the. This is the side for the petroleum. Okay. So where do these go next? Well, I'm figuring that what I'm going to need is some great big tanks, I think. Now, I could just use these little portable tanks that I had up there, but they're not very exciting. What I'd like, and I could use like the sort of tanks I had over there for the seed oil. But I think I'd quite like to have some really large tanks. Now, some of the tanks that are available in the pack, what that sort of tank, some are a bit dull looking. And these are the ones here. Yeah, these sort of open block tanks. I think they're the ones, aren't they? They're all the variety of full different things. These are the portable ones. I can't really afford steel and iron tanks. I haven't got the resources for that. But I can make these ones. And this is just... Oh, obsidian, really? Really? Okay, well I can still make it. It's not a problem. These ones are okay, but they're not very interesting looking. These ones here. I think what I might like to do... These just look like clear cubes full of liquid like these here. But why? I can make some obsidian. That's not a problem. I'd like to have some of those, have them quite large, because I want to have a bit reserve of stock of the various oils and things like that, the oil and the fuel. And it'd be nice, I think, if they were sort of under here somewhere visible. Well, I'm planning on putting a glass ceiling in here anyway, so that you can see down into the energy production system. But I think we'll have to expand over this way, have some really nice big tanks. And you better look in and see all the lovely, delicious oils and things that are in there before they get pumped into the combustion engines, which will be down here somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and make a whole bunch of obsidian. Ooh, butterfly. See, I said I wasn't going mad the other day, didn't I, when I saw these? I saw one again more recently. I don't know what's causing it. I presume it's something to do with the trees, but that's a nice one, isn't it? What I saw the other day was actually huge. Yeah, anyway, it's good timing actually, because, thank you, Butterfly, I think we're about ready to go. So, what I have here, what I don't think I have is enough energy, but I've expanded it down here, and what I've got, though, are these great big tanks. Now, these things, is the obsidian, took a real problem. It was a real problem trying to make. It took a lot of my power. In fact, I've actually finally drained this thing over here, I think. Is it now filling back up again? Very slowly. Okay, it took so much power to make, because obsidian requires, tesseract. Obsidian requires lava, and it requires water both. So the lava is produced from the lava fabricator, and the water comes from the production system over there, which uses no power at all. But this requires a lot of power. requires a lot of power to make every bucket of lava. So that was the big demand over here. The Tesseract, what I'm using it for, is to carry water directly over without having pipes. So in case you haven't used Tesseract before, all you do is you have, from the aqueous kilometer in this case, we have Tesseract over here. We've got it set on a frequency. You have to link them together. So that wormholes through space is what they are. Hence the cool effect there. So this has got a frequency of 5, and the configuration is you can send items and fluids and energy, but we're only sending liquids for now. So we're sending from this one. And this one over here is on the same frequency. The frequencies mean that you can have different setups on the same network and you know, send things in a certain way. This one's at frequency 5 as well. This one's only receiving fluids. So under here there's a pipe that goes into here, so it is feeding water in. And we'll move this later. But for now, it's just a convenient way of doing it. But it used a lot of power, so this will build back up again. It's getting there. And what I've got down here are these great big open block tanks. So I'm sort of happy with how they look. They could have been better, but I don't know. I'm not sure. They're okay. I'd like to have, you know, metal frames, but I can't really. I can't afford the metal at the moment. So these things, each one of these cubes here holds 16 buckets. Now each one of these, 1, 2, 3. Well, how much is in here? How much are these? It's 5, 15. 15 times by 16. Whatever that is. Do that yourself. That's how many buckets of oil in one and fuel in the other we can do. Now, I've got to power these things, and I don't think these set of powers up here are going to be enough. But give it a go. So first of all, let's start turning these on. So we're now pumping out the combs into here, and then those combs are then going to here. But this has got no power. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run down a little bit of power from this and see if it works. I know it's messy, but we'll deal with the cables later. Like that. So it's getting some juice. How much it's draining these, I don't know. If it drains too much of them, then... What do I mean light levels? It's gaining charge. A bit of on and off. Okay, so these guys are making... Oh, we're making honey drops as well, though. Oh, that's an interesting point. So we don't want... We want an extra pump out for the honey drop. So the honey drops we want to store somewhere else. We could have a tank full of honey, couldn't we? Would that be really cool to have a tank full of honey? I mean, we'd need another squeezer possibly, though. I think. Isn't that how you do honey drops? You turn it to honey? Or should I just store the honey for now? I could just store the honey for now, couldn't I? Blah, 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 blah. So we've got 2 pumping out from here. Okay. Well, we can pump up. Okay, we won't pump. So on here, we'll put on the white list. We'll put the oily propolis like that. Which goes into here. This one we've got the petroleum propolis, which goes into here. There we go. And we'll turn this on. Doesn't matter if we turn it on. These things have got no juice anyway yet. And we've got loads in here. We need to empty some of these out and pump it in. We're always going to get more oil than we are the petroleum ones, but that's fine. Oh my god, we've got loads in there. Look. Never mind. Let's move these up. Lovely. And what was I going to do next? I've got to. I guess I can ignore the. Yeah, no, it's going down anyway. Look. Why are you? No, I've done it wrong. Whitelist is I'm being stupid. Sorry. Right, let's get these honey drops out of here. Okay. So it should now only pump the. Actually, let's go to bed because I'm running the juice down because there's no sunshine. Right, we're simply not getting enough power through here so far. So let's just dump this resonant energy cell on here, which has got 8 billion RF into it. So, although I don't think it's outputting yet. Let's look at the configuration. It's not getting any power. So I need to change the configuration to... No. Oh, I hate trying to do the guesswork on this. Okay. And there you go, there's the fuel. And then... Oh my god, it works. I know it's just a bunch of pipes and things, but it actually works. I'm so happy. How much RF have I got? Loads of RF in there. There you go. Look at this. It's working. It's lovely. You see, some of my jobs in the past have involved some visits to industrial type places before, and I'm rather partial to stainless steel tanks and like heavy duty gear like that. I quite enjoy that sort of thing, and having pipes pumping into big tanks like this. Ooh, yes, very nice indeed. So I don't know how much is actually in there. Hard to tell. But there you go. So these things need to be down here. But okay, we'll put the power into them later. I might have to drop this down a little bit more to have the energy cells further down. I'm not sure. Right. So now we've got fuel and oil coming into here, and lots of it. How much... Well, is this receiving power, by the way? I'm not sure. It is dropping quite quickly. I think it's now receiving power from that, but not much is going to go in. Oh no, it is going up. Solar panels are working away out there. These are all working okay. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's all processing away. But the honey drops are coming into here, by the way. I'm going to have a stupid number of honey drops. I think I will have to have a tank of honey down here after, but we'll do that a bit afterwards. We'll have another tank of honey over there. Probably the biggest tank that we have. So, say that we have one combustion engine running for each. I mean, we could probably have two running for this one, because I think we're going to get far more oil than we are fuel. But, you know, I don't know. We'll see. So the important thing is we put combustion engines down here. They're pretty easy to make. Just say one for each one. The only issue I can think of here is cooling them. So combustion engines require water fed into them. And what I've remembered before is that you need a whole chunk of water at the start to get them going, and then they just use a small amount of water continually to keep themselves cool. If you don't keep them cool, they go bang. Now we don't want that happening down here. The only worry I might have is that if we have on and off power requirements, because that means that the engines will be stopping and starting, and that means they'll use blocks of water. So I think what we need is, oh god, more of these things. I think other tanks I can make. What I a big water tank is what I want. A really big water tank, so that if I try to power these off of like an aqueous accumulator or something else, then I'm going to run into problems, because it might the demand might overstretch what it can actually do. Is that frozen? It has, isn't it? What are you? Okay, you are doing it. I thought it wasn't pumping it through for a second. It might the demand might overstretch what it can do, and we're going to run into problems. So it's best to have a big tank full of water that will pump in water into engines whenever they need them, and we simply top up the tank back again by a maybe slightly slower method of an accumulator or something else, run a pump system off of an infinite water source, something like that. But have we got anything else other than these damn tanks here? I mean, there's nothing else we can do. It's obsidian. Maybe I should use these tanks then. These BC factories. I just hate using up all the power. How do you make that fluid tank there? That's quite expensive. I mean, iron ingots and those iron bars. You've got to be joking, mate. You've got to be joking. Anything else in here? Seared tanks. Now, these creative portable tanks, they're expensive as well. I can't make iron tank walls and stuff. I can't afford that. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'll think about it. what I do here. I think I would like a big water tank like this rather than... They do look nicer, I think. What do you think? I think they look nicer than these sort of BC tanks, which look okay for small amounts, but the trouble with BC tanks, they don't join together. So the ones over here... I need to repair my pickaxe. This one here, with the seed oil, I mean, it's okay. They used to have red edges. I guess it's the reskin, isn't it? But if you put them next to each other, they'll be still separate. And I'm not sure I really want that. I don't know. They're just very demanding in making all the... Maybe I should just do it. I mean, what else am I using the power for right now? Stuff it. It'll be fine. If it comes to it, I'll put another one of the resonant energy cells on there. I mean, that's what they're for, isn't it? Hold on. Let's just go and do that. Let's go and get another one. And I think I'll make a combustion. It's actually taking a lot longer than it realises. You probably realise for me watching me doing this, because I've been cutting a lot out. But it has taken quite a while of faffing around trying to get all this done. A few Minecraft days to do this. So it's getting a bit late here. I might have to have a break for a bit and come back to this tomorrow. Some episodes are like that. You know, some episodes you record them, and is this actually feeding out? That's not an output, is it? Oh, that's off. There you go. That's feeding out, I think. Is that right? Is that feeding out? I can't remember now. What did I do with this one down here? That means it's going in. Is that right? This power's going down. You think, no, but that isn't... Let me sort this out.